We were abandoned here. We bled here. We built.
I will not lose everything again. No! Enewan! No! Stay with me, please stay with me.
It was a still night in the village, the kind of night where silence presses on the chest, heavy and full of things unsaid. The moon hung high, casting its light on the earth below, but the land felt darker than it had ever been. Somewhere, deep within the heart of the village, a couple sat waiting. Inemesit, a woman known for her kindness and strength, was in the labor room. Her husband, Udeme, a simple farmer with hands that had known the land his entire life, stood outside, pacing with a quiet prayer.
Please, God, keep her safe. Keep my child safe. I will do whatever it takes to protect them.
He had no wealth to give, no riches to promise, but all he wanted in that moment was for his wife and child to be safe. His heart was heavy, his mind restless. What if something goes wrong? What if I lose them both? Inside, Inemesit cried out in pain, but there was a quiet resolve in her voice. She was going to bring life into this world no matter the challenges. Outside, Udeme prayed in a whisper, his words barely audible above the sounds of the night. The door to the labor room opened. The midwife ran out shouting, "It is twins!" Everything broke. The villagers came before the sun could rise. They did not greet. They did not hesitate. They came to take. Inemesit was dragged out, weak, trembling, clutching her newborns tightly to her chest.
Please, my children are not a curse. Look at me. Look at me.
Her eyes searched desperately. Udeme, please, say something. Are you just going to stand there? Udeme's lips parted, but nothing came out. Fear gripped his throat. If I speak, I lose my people. If I stay silent, I lose my family. His hands trembled violently. He tried, but the word died. Inemesit stared at him, and in that moment, something inside her shattered. She moved closer. Look at that. Me, she cried. He couldn't, and that silence echoed louder than any scream. The journey to Akai Udo-Atari was long and filled with hardship. But Inemesit walked. Even when her legs shook, even when her heart cracked, she walked. Akai Udo-Atari was a wild, unforgiving place. A hidden forest where mothers of twins were exiled. The first nights were the hardest. Cold, dark, endless. Her babies cried. She held them close. Her body grew weaker, her mind unraveling. Her suffering was endless. Then, one night, she broke.
I can't do this. What if they are right? What if you are a curse? No, forgive me.
The words left her mouth and she froze. Regret creeps in. Then she pulled them closer, shaking. But the damage was done, not to them, but to her. Because from that night on, she carried not just pain, but in that guilt, something stronger was born, a fierce resolve that she and her babies must survive. She built shelter from whatever the forest offered. She struck 2 stones together to spark a fire for warmth, and from leaves she wove coverings for her children. Sometimes, while searching for food, she would stumble upon the bleached skulls and scattered bones of those who had been banished before her. Each sight tightened her chest but strengthened her will. I will not end up like them, she told herself. I must survive. Day by day, with courage and stubborn hope, Inemesit began to change the forest. Gradually, what was once a place of exile became a home for her and her children. Years passed. The forest did not change, but the people did. And the tale of Akai Udo-Atari spread across the villages. Hunters grew curious, hoping that one day, while tracking game, they might stumble upon such a place. Inemesit, having discovered a hidden path that led to a nearby village, would quietly slip away on market days. She traded what she gathered from the wild for a few essentials, while her daughters remained safely hidden in the forest. On Abo market day, Inemesit gathered her twins for a small celebration made from whatever they could gather from the wild. They ate, they drank, and they laughed freely. It was their 17th birthday. Then came the hunters, Chijioke and Ifeanyi. They expected silence, but instead, they found strength. "You survived this place," Chijioke said. Inemesit stood firm, fierce like a mother hen, guarding her chicks. "No," she replied, "we built it." She reached for a stick, ready to defend herself if they chose violence. But the hunters dropped their weapons, and Ifeanyi stepped forward. "We come in peace," he said. "We are not here to harm you. We were hunting nearby when we heard laughter and saw smoke rising into the sky, so we came to see." That night, they stayed. They shared a simple meal, Inemesit offering what little she had left in her storage. Yet it was enough, because it was given with warmth. At dawn the next morning, before the sun rose, the hunters spoke again.
Inemesit, you and your children can come home with us.
My family and I are happy here. We have built our own land,
free from laws, tradition, and judgment. We chose happiness over pain. The hunters were deeply moved, and so they chose to stay, not as strangers, but as part of something new they would now build together. Love came, not easily, but honestly. At the dawn of a new age, as civilization crept outward, the Anang people began to seek more land. Their forests, once vast and untouched, were now being encroached upon, and so the elders turned their eyes toward the hidden settlement that had quietly taken root within it. They did not come gently, they marched in. "This land does not belong to you," one of the elders declared. Chijioke stepped forward, his voice steady but firm. "We were abandoned here. We bled here. We built this." The air grew heavy. Words turned sharp. Silence stretched too long. And then war. It did not arrive like a storm gathering in the distance. It came like fire, sudden, wild, uncontrollable. Men shouted. Feet thundered against the earth. The forest itself seemed to tremble beneath the weight of violence. At the heart of it all stood Inemesit, gripping a stick so tightly her hands ached. "I will not lose everything again," she whispered. A man broke through the chaos, charging toward her. Before she could move, before she could stop him, he struck. A spear pierced through her daughter's chest. Inemesit screamed, "Enewan." The girl collapsed, her body hitting the ground as blood seeped into the soil that had once given them refuge. "No," Inemesit whispered, her voice breaking. "Not again, not another child, not after everything." She fell to her knees beside her, trembling hands reaching, desperate. "Stay with me, please. Stay with me." But life does not always wait for prayers. And in that moment, something old returned. Helplessness. The same helplessness from the night she was taken. The same silence that had swallowed her cries. The same pain that had lived quietly beneath her strength. Nearby, Udeme saw it all. He saw the girl fall. He saw the mother break. And something inside him finally shattered. "No," he whispered, then louder, "No." This time, he moved. He ran into the chaos, pulling people apart, shielding the weak, standing where he once had not. "Stop this!" But war does not listen. Desperate, Udeme fled beyond the forest to the white settlers who had begun to claim nearby lands. He returned with soldiers. Their arrival did not bring peace, but it forced silence. Slowly, the fighting stopped, but peace did not come. Not yet. Enewan was buried at the edge of the forest. The same forest that had once threatened to swallow them whole now held one of their own. Ifeanyi remained by her grave long after the others had gone. He said nothing, because some grief does not speak, it stays. Weeks passed. They rebuilt, but not as before. Quieter, softer, carrying loss in every step, every breath, every silence. Time moved forward, as it always does. And then, years later, the land revealed its hidden secrets. Gold, silver, wealth buried beneath their feet. But no one celebrated loudly, because they understood something now. Not all treasure shines. With time, the settlement began to grow. What started as a place of exile slowly transformed into a place of refuge, and then into a place of opportunity. People from nearby villages began to visit, first out of curiosity, then for trade. They came with goods, they came with stories, they came and they stayed. Paths became roads, shelters became homes, homes became a thriving community. And in honor of the woman who had turned pain into purpose, the land was given a name, Inemesit, a town born from survival, a town built on strength, a town that refused to disappear. One evening, Udeme returned. He stood at the edge of the settlement, just outside, watching the life he had once lost and the life that had continued without him. I was there, he said quietly, and I said nothing. Inemesit approached him, her gaze steady. I failed you, he continued, his voice trembling. I chose fear over you. I lost you that day. A long pause followed. I have been living inside that moment ever since. I don't deserve peace. I watched them take you, and I said nothing. I am sorry. Silence settled between them. Then Inemesit spoke, her voice calm but heavy with memory. That night, she said, the night they took us, I called your name. But you didn't answer. I never forgot that. Udeme's eyes filled, the weight of her words pressing into him. Then she continued, softer now, but I also remember when my children were born, I thought I would lose everything again. But I didn't. She turned slightly, looking at the town, at children running, at traders calling out, at life rising boldly from the ashes of pain. We both lost something that night, she said, but we are still here. And for the first time, the silence between them was no longer empty. The story does not end with triumph. It ends with truth. That fear can destroy what it does not understand. That silence can wound more deeply than violence. And that sometimes the greatest loss is the moment you chose not to speak. But also that even after silence, a voice can still be found. Even after breaking, a life can be rebuilt. A woman was broken and remade herself. A man stayed silent and learned the cost of it. A people chose fear and paid for it dearly. And in the end, they all learned that strength is not perfection, that peace is not immediate, and that some losses never leave, but they teach you how to live. Africa Tales Fair. Like, share, and subscribe.